Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the Republic. Endow members of Parliament, the ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and thy good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. Amen. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service, and honor shall be given to the deserving. A country of peace, where government shall rest in the will of the people, and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality, and inspire and strengthen our people that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, rules and proceedings. July, page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, sorry to take you back, but I was here yesterday, but I have been marked absent.
Thank you very much to be corrected accordingly. 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. Honorable members, the votes and proceedings of 13th July as presented is hereby admitted as true record of the proceedings. Yes, Honorary Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if we are on item number 4,
yes,
I will humbly seek your leave and the indulgence of members so we can first take the agenda on the addendum order paper to enable the of aviation to attend to the emergency cabinet.
Thank you very much.
Morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, at the commencement of public business, we shall move on to the addendum. Presentation and first reading of bills. Accident Investigation and Prevention Bureau BT 20. Minister for Aviation.
An act to establish the Accident Investigation and Prevention Bureau to investigate, prevent, regulate, and oversee the management of accidents and incidents that occur in the country, and to provide for related matters.
The bill is duly presented and read the first time. It is referred to the Committee for Roads and Transport for consideration and report, and particularly with regard to whether this should be considered under a certificate of urgency. Is that the position, Honorable Majority Chief Whip?
Mr. Speaker, we can now take item number 4.
Item 4. The following paper is to be presented. Mines and Energy. Chairman of the Committee.
Report of the Committee on Mines and Energy on the mining lease agreements between the Government of the Republic of Ghana and the underlisted entities under the ASSIBEY Royalties Limited, Special Purpose Vehicle associated with the Royalty Monetization Provision of the Minerals Income Fund Act 2018, Act 978. AGA Miragani lease granted to Ashanti Goldfields Company Limited. II. Lima South lease granted to Oboso Goldfields Limited. III. A Brim lease granted to Asanko Gold Ghana Limited. IV. Julie lease granted to Phoenix Resources Limited. V. Conche Bempon lease granted to Azuma Resources Limited. VI. Datoku lease granted to the Cardinal Namdini Mianin Limited. VII. Mampon lease granted to Golden Star Bogoso Limited. VIII. Akanko lease granted to Adamus Resources Limited. IX. Upon lease to Golden Star Bogoso Prestia Limited. X. Akoti lease granted to Chirano Gold Mines Limited. XI. Ajopa lease granted to Anglo Gold Ashanti Ghana Limited. XII. Ajopa South lease granted to Ghanaian Goldfields Limited. XII. Edubia lease granted to Asanko Gold Ghana Limited. And XIV. Abori lease granted to Asanko Gold Ghana Limited.
The paper is duly presented and for distribution to honorable members. 6. Chairman, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, 6 was ready, the report was ready, but the chairman just informed me that an appendix that was supposed to be was wrongly attached, so he wants us to take it tomorrow. So, Mr. Speaker, we may now move to item number 7.
Yes, Honorable CHIREH.
Speaker, the paper that was laid, the first reading of the Accident Investigation and Prevention Bureau bill. The question was the committee also to consider whether it's of nature or it was just referred to them?
But Honorable CHIREH, please, again, you are referring to which item? Item listed.
Item, the addendum item.
The addendum, yes.
Yes. I want to find out whether it was just laid as a number or it was to be considered by the committee if it is of urgent nature.
Honorable Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, I know by our rules it's committee to decide. So once we refer it to the committee will report accordingly if we are to take it as an agenda or not. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And in fact, I did say in my direction that the committee should determine whether it's of an urgent nature or not. So the ball is in their court, and then they will report. Yes. Thank you very much for now. Honorable Majority Whip, where do we go from here? 7.
Mr. Speaker, I did say that 6 will not be taken today. I give the reason already.
What
so
exactly
we are
happened?
moving to 7.
What exactly about 5?
5 also cannot be taken today.
It cannot be taken.
Yes, 5 also cannot be taken today.
6 can or cannot?
6 cannot be taken today.
7.
7 can be taken, sir.
Honorable Chairman of the Finance Committee.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the motion listed as item 7 on page 3, today's order paper, be taken now. Mr. Speaker, I will proceed to present the committee's report. Mr. Speaker, the motion before the House is a request for the waiver of duties and taxes amounting to the Ghana cedi equivalent of 807,364 United States dollars and 92 cents on IT equipment, materials and services imported and procured locally for the implementation of the Ghana Revenue Authority IT Training Academy project. Mr. Speaker, as part of efforts to modernize the tax revenue system in the country and improve on the usage of IT-based business processes for better service delivery, GRE is implementing an IT infrastructure project. Under the project, an IT training institute would be constructed. The training institute would enable the GRE improve upon its IT literacy and provide skills to ensure proper use of the IT applications within the Ghana Revenue Authority. In order to successfully undertake this project, Parliament approved an amount of 3.5 million euros, a grant of 1.5 million euros in 2016. The authority has prepared the land and completed all needed evaluations, as well as acquired all the necessary permits to undertake the project. As part of the terms of the agreement between the Government of Ghana and Gopa Infra GmbH, the consultant and its foreign staff are exempted from the payment of all taxes, duties, and levies to be imposed in Ghana in connection with the procurement of services, equipment, materials, and supplies necessary for the performance of the services under the project. Mr. Speaker, the request is to enable Government of Ghana fulfill its part of the agreement and to ensure a successful implementation of the project. The committee was informed that the scope of the project includes the construction of a fully equipped building for the IT department to be situated at Tema. Also, the implementation of a structure to develop, organize, and execute IT training, and the implementation of a computer-based training conducted locally at the offices, which is supported. The Speaker, considering the benefits to be derived from the project, the committee is of the view that the request will go a long way to boost revenue collection. The committee therefore recommends to the House to adopt its report and to approve the request for the waiver of duties and taxes amounting to the Ghana cedi equivalent of 878,364 United States dollars and 92 cents on IT equipment, materials, and services to be procured locally for the implementation of the Ghana Revenue Authority IT Training Academy project in accordance with the Constitution, the PFM, and the standing orders of the House. Respectfully submitted, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Chairman. Yes. Honorable Member.
Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to second the motion ably moved by the Chairman, and also to make few comments of my own regarding this report. Mr. Speaker, The report is for the implementation of the Ghana Revenue Authority IT Training Academy. Mr. Speaker, if you look at appendix to the report, we are basically seeking tax waivers on a basic construction project, which is being carried out. Every item in the building is being captured here, wiring, catering equipment, and everything. So is it the principle that now local contractors can get tax waivers on building entirely? If that's the case, would that cover everything, including when get fund projects are being done? Is it simply because it's Ghana Revenue Authority? Mr. Speaker, we must know under which we are doing this. Of course, it's Government of Ghana project. If you say government should pay, it means government should go and find the money and pay itself. But the same way when you are building 6-unit classroom block for Ghana, it's also government. So some of us always believe that there must be a principle under which this is done. The principle is not clear enough. If it were to be only imported items, Mr. Speaker, it would have been yeah. But if I see tiles, we are manufacturing tiles in this country. If it's curtain walls,
Mr. Speaker, that's a principle, and it's espoused in the observations. Said in 2016, government procured a loan with a grant element, totaling 5 million euros. And as part of the terms of the agreement, the government and GUPA Infra GmbH, all taxes are to be exempted from the construction of the project. So there's a principle that underpins this, as though if you are constructing a get fund project or any project for that matter, taxes be waived. We source funding from Germany and then to construct this project. And then it was agreed that in the construction of the project, all taxes be exempted. So that's the principle. The beauty about this one, it was in 2016. You know who was the president in 2016?
Honorable Chairman, that's the principle regarding this lie in the mere provision of that fact in the contract, or is just justification can be questioned in a role.
In assessing the facility, it was made clear that all local purchases to be used in constructing the IT Academy would be exempted from taxes. And so we are sticking to the principle that underpins the granting of the facility.
Honorable.
Right, Mr. Speaker, thank you. Yes, I get my colleague very clearly. All I'm saying is that even Parliament, we are carrying out development projects. We do assess services. If it is clear that every project that is paid for from the national purse could assess this, then it should be clearer. So I use Get Fund simply because I know that is the level by which majority of Ghanaians play a role. Majority of Ghanaian contractors wouldn't be able to play a role at this stage. So it is not being against it. I'm just saying that let that principle be clearer. Indeed, when we procure loans externally or we procure services in this house, we've done this. This is not the first time we are doing it. I'm just calling for a reinforcement of the principle and make it clearer to everybody that indeed, at a certain level, you can require and be granted tax waivers on issues like this. Mr. Speaker, I don't think we need to belabor this point. It's already in the master agreement that was approved in this house that the developer will be exempted from both import and the local taxes. So it's not a problem. I support the report and ask colleagues to do same for that to approve it. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, for your consideration. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. The Speaker, I also rise to support the motion for the approval of the waiver. Parliament has already approved the amounts needed project, so the funds are already available. The Speaker, is taking quite some time, between 2016 and today, for the GRA to prepare the land to acquire all the necessary approvals, and they are now ready to undertake the project. The waiver is part of the agreement that has been signed between the government of Ghana and the consultants for services, equipment, materials, and all supplies to be made for this project. So, Speaker, a successful completion and implementation of this project will enhance the IT skills of the staff of the GRA. Ultimately, this is going to help improve revenue mobilization that has been a problem and a challenge for the country. So, Speaker, the request for the waiver, I strongly support it, and at the committee, we didn't have any dissenting view. So I would like to recommend it to the House of this, and then the GRA is able to undertake the project. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honourable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, also rise to support the motion before the House. And Mr. Speaker, in doing so, I shall like to say that the approval of this waiver is essential. The construction of an ICT center for the Ghana Revenue Authority is long overdue. Mr. Speaker, in view of the times we're living, it is important that we harness the opportunities within the country to be able to collect a lot of taxes. And one of the ways to do that is to digitalize our tax collection system by adding a lot of capacity building as well for staff of the Ghana Revenue Authority. There are so many people, Mr. Speaker, in this country who are not paying taxes. We are unable to reach out to them simply because of our own tax system. Mr. Speaker, just yesterday we were talking about the number of people who we should tap in the payment of taxes. Mr. Speaker, look at the gift tax we have in this country. The law states that if anyone collects a gift whose value is more than 50 Ghana cedis, the person is enjoined by law to pay taxes. Boyfriends are giving their girlfriends all manner of things. Mr. Speaker, politicians are giving delegates all manner of gifts, and the requisite taxes are not being paid on these gifts. So it is important, if we want more roads, Mr. Speaker, if we want more roads, if we want more schools, if we want more hospitals, if we want better, then we have to pay taxes. And in paying taxes, we need to improve the efficiency of the tax collecting agency through enhanced, capacity building, so that they will be able to do the job that they are enjoined to do, to give us more revenue to build the things that we are expected to build. And Mr. Speaker, there is a tax assessment to the report. So I am exceedingly happy, even though better late than never. I'm glad that it's come to the House at this time, and I'm hoping that colleagues would also support the approval of this waiver so that the Ghana Revenue Authority can have the facility and the next items accompanying request to do their job. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable. Leadership.
Thank you, Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion, but before I do that, Mr. Speaker, some of these items, when they get them, you don't even know where they send them, because they bring the documents nicely, you support them to get the tax waiver and other things, but you go to the district level, you will see that nothing gets to them. This IT equipment, you go to NHIS office in Adan, we lack a lot of IT equipment, especially education. District level in Adan, they don't even have one IT machine equipment. So please, whatever we approve here for them, they should make sure that the district level too, they get access to it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity, and I support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to support the report ably written and submitted by the Finance Committee. Mr. Speaker, the attachments are so detailed, capturing almost every aspect of the project, and we should thank the Finance Committee for such a detailed information. Mr. Speaker, the Vice President is delivering on the mandate given to him by the President, and is to ensure that we place in Ghana digital systems, strengthen our electronic system. Digitalization is key, and therefore the heartbeat of our revenue collection, which is GRE, trying to out a training facility for ICT for its staff is very important. It is to prepare their staff ahead of time. It is to make their staff ready for the challenges ahead, such that when the systems are put in place, Mr. Speaker, they will be ready for it. Our revenue shortfall indicates, though every year we improve on our revenue collection, but we are not able to achieve the target. And when we are preparing the staffs for that one, I think it's very critical. But Mr. Speaker, I just a few details, if the chairman can present some conclusion and maybe answer this, because I read from paragraph 5.1, 5.1, and I'm a bit worried about this aspect. As part of the terms of the agreement between the government of Ghana and GOPA Infra, the consultant and his foreign staff are to be exempted from the payment of all taxes. All taxes. Are we also saying that they will be exempted from income taxes payments? I think this is very clear. We need to, as part of the report and as part of the determination of this House, we need to have a clear position on this matter before they take advantage of this particular sentence. I hope that we should have a clear indication so that we, as a House, our oversight responsibility will be able to follow up and make sure that whatever they have been exempted from is exactly what they are benefiting from. For me, even whether so long as a local contractor, we should encourage our local contractors as well. If this is going to help a local contractor develop a capacity in the future and do more projects for the future, I think it is good for Mother Ghana. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Chairman, if you can tell us, all tax, holistically all?
The Speaker, Ghana has entered into a number of double taxation agreements with a number of countries. So to the extent that there exists a double taxation agreement, then if you pay taxes here, you are not required to pay same in your home country. If there is no double taxation agreement and you are a foreigner working here, you are required to pay income taxes here. So
shall we qualify it?
The Speaker, we can't qualify it here because this is lifted from the agreement. This provision in the report is lifted from the agreement which has been signed by the two parties. But the Ghana Revenue Authority ensures...
Subject to the approval of Parliament. Parliament in approving, in fact, contractually, who stops Parliament by saying, we want to make this clear?
Mr. Speaker, we have tax laws that make these abundantly clear. In our tax laws, these are clear. There are a lot of foreigners who pay taxes in Ghana. if they do, and we have a double taxation agreement, they don't have to pay same in their home country. Some elect not to pay taxes here, and they pay their taxes in their home country. Ghanaians who work abroad also elect whether to pay taxes in their destination countries where they work or in their home countries. And Mr. Speaker, I guess when you were High Commissioner in India, you were not paying taxes to the Indian government, but you would have done same in your home country. So, regardless of what Parliament says today, I think that provisions in our tax laws which make these abundantly clear.
Honorable CHIREH.
Mr. Speaker, the chairman of the committee ought to tell us whether these tax waivers, including taxes, sit down. Why? We ought to say all taxes, because it's normally the on things that are important that we say we grant the tax waiver. But if you say all taxes, you must then ask the question, do we have an agreement with that organization or the country it comes from against double taxation? That's the first question you should ask. If we don't have, then they have to be taxed. But if you have a double taxation agreement, then obviously they will be. And that should be stated in the report. I don't see why now you are even struggling to justify. The agreement also would have indicated what taxes or what are exempt. Now you are saying you don't know whether we have an agreement with them or not.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the beauty about what we have done, all taxes that are to be exempted have been listed here. We have a domestic component totaling 490,784.92 euros, domestic, stated here. Then you have the import duties totaling 580,000 euros. Those are the import duties. If you put these together, in total, you get the 364.92. So, Speaker, as a fact, the request that came to the Finance Committee was for over 1 million euros. And at committee, we reduced it to this 870, and it covers domestic VAT and import duty, all clearly listed here. That is why the annexure to this report is a number of pages, and even the report itself is just 2 pages. So everything has been captured here. And as far as I'm concerned, and this House too, there are no income taxes listed in this report.
Thank you very much. I put a question. Question is, all those in favor of the motion number 7 say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is duly adopted. Item listed 8. Resolution. Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I humbly ask of your leave and the indulgence of members to allow our Deputy Minister for Finance to take item listed 8 on behalf of the Finance Minister, who is regrettably absent because of the emergency cabinet meeting this morning. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Finance Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the resolution captured as item 8 on pages 3, 4, and 5 of today's order paper be adopted now. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion.
The motion is moved and seconded. for consideration of the House. Shall I put a question? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. And it's adopted accordingly. Chairman. Sorry. Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we may take item number 9.
Item 9. Chairman, committee.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the motion listed as item 9, page 5 of today's order paper be taken now. Mr. Speaker, in so doing, I'll present the committee's report. Mr. Speaker, what is before the House is a facility agreement between the government and Deutsche Bank AG for an amount of 56,053,500 euros to finance the construction of trauma hospitals in Obuasi and accident and emergency centers at Engerisi Hospital and the rehabilitation of Obuasi Health Center. The project is intended to provide ultramodern health infrastructure to give the people enhanced healthcare delivery. The project also forms part of measures to meet government's commitment to the provision of universal healthcare delivery to the people of Ghana in line with government's vision under the Sustainable Development Goals 3. Mr. Speaker, the object of the loan, once again, is to finance the construction of the required infrastructure and the provision of medical equipment and ancillary services to ensure that the beneficiary hospitals are fully operational and befitting their status. It will also provide the enabling condition for attracting the needed healthcare professionals. Mr. Speaker, the terms and conditions of the loan are given in paragraph 4 on page 4 of the facility amount, project costs, upfront fees, agency fees, legal fees, tenure, repayment period, grace period, and interest rates are all given in the table on page 4. Mr. Speaker, the scope of works of the project includes the following. For the Obuasi and Enyinem trauma hospitals, the project will have the features given on page 5 and 6 of the report. An accident and emergency department, a main theater, OPD, area, public health department, pharmacy unit, physiotherapy department, laboratories, and administration block, support facilities, pathology unit, maternity unit, accommodation, and an incubation unit as well. Furthermore, the Engerisi Hospital will be retooled and remodeled. And again, the scope of works is given on page 6 of the book. Finally, there is the retooling and refurbishment of the existing Obuasi Government Hospital in Obuasi in the Ashanti region. Details are given on page 7 of the report. Mr. Speaker, observations. Necessity for the project. The committee observed that Obuasi in the Ashanti region and Enyinem in the Eastern region presently do not have any major government hospitals. The existing Obuasi Health Center is presently both ill-equipped and inadequate to meet the health needs of the burgeoning population of the catchment area. Also, the Engerisi Hospital does not have a modern accident and emergency center, even though it is strategically located along the Accra-Kumasi Highway. The project is thus intended to provide the required infrastructure, medical equipment, ancillary facilities and services to ensure that the beneficiary hospitals are fully operational and befitting the status of modern hospitals with emphasis on trauma. It will also provide the enabling environment for attracting the needed healthcare professionals to the respective facilities. The project is expected to be within 3 years after commencement, all things being equal. Mr. Speaker, 6.5, the EPC contract. The committee noted that the engineering, procurement, and construction contract has been negotiated between the government of Ghana, acting through the Ministry of Health, and Universal Hospitals Group Limited for for the implementation of the project. The EPC that is subject to the conclusion of a value for money audit. The committee recommends that the Minister for Health take steps to formally present the EPC contract to the House for referral to the appropriate committee of the House for and report. Mr. Speaker, in recognition of the immense health care and other socio-economic benefits to derive from the project, and in view of the four observations, the committee respectfully recommends to the House to adopt this report and approve by resolution the facility agreement between the Government of the Republic of Ghana, presented by the Ministry of Finance, and Deutsche Bank AG as the arranger and original lender, and TMF Global Services UK Limited as the facility arranger for an amount of 56,153,500 euros to finance the construction of trauma hospitals in Obuasi and Nanyunem, and accident and emergency centers at Ingresi Hospital, and the rehabilitation of the Obuasi Health Center, in accordance with the Constitution of the Republic. Respectfully submitted, Mr. Speaker.
Much, Honorable Chairman. Yes, Honorable Member Father.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to second the motion moved by the Chairman of the Finance Committee, and in so doing make a few comments of my own. Mr. Speaker, as rightly said by the Chairman, this facility agreement is to approve an amount of 56,153,500 euros for the construction of basically 2 district hospitals with focus, and then retooling of 2 other health facilities. Mr. Speaker, significantly, this is all the scopes here are in line with a scope of a district hospital. The only difference here is because they said it's so there's a 12-bed triage unit, because these 2 facilities are along this where we believe that their presence would aid accident victims a lot. Mr. Speaker, Chairman has said a lot, but the significant statement he made, which is paragraph 6.5. Mr. Speaker, in the original document presented to the committee, this is just the facility agreement. We normally will do the facility agreement, and the subject matter committee will do the commercial agreement. But this did not happen in this particular case. That is why I'm happy that the Chairman drew the attention of the Health Minister to do so. Mr. Speaker, if you read this document, there's a slight difference between what we did in the past and what they are trying to do now. In this particular, under this particular agreement, government has already gone to borrow the money by themselves. So they just selected a local EPC contractor. I am happy that local contractors would play a role in EPC contract. It is a good thing to do. I have no doubt that even if you do the contract with foreigners, it is the local contractors that end up doing the work anyway. So it is a good idea that we're trying to introduce local developers into this. The difference, though, is that because it is a local contractor, it is not clear whether we should bring it to Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I think it's an EPC contract. The legislature should not shirk our responsibility to oversight the executive. If we fail to encourage our colleague, the health minister, to bring a commercial agreement in the future, when we borrow money and give it to entities, they can go and do what they like. So let's set the principle here clearly. Not too long ago, Mr. Speaker, the Railway Ministry was in this House to seek additional funding for the AFCON's project, the Mpakadan project. I drew the attention of leadership to the fact that only the facility agreement was approved under that loan. Mr. Speaker, there's a significant change in the design. We are building a bridge over the River Volta, which was not part of the original loan approved for AFCONs. But till date, AFCONS or the Minister of Railway hasn't come back to the House to present a commercial agreement. Mr. Speaker, with reference to paragraph 6.5, as rightly put in here by the Finance Committee, I humbly want to request that you make a directive that, I said I am making an appeal to the Speaker to direct, it's an appeal to direct the Health Minister to bring a commercial agreement, and also to remind the Railway Minister that critically, the last agreement given to him, the million, requires a commercial agreement. Until that time, the House hasn't discharged fully our responsibility towards that particular project. Mr. Speaker, I encourage colleagues to support this and to approve this. We are told these two projects, two district hospitals, that is an addition to our healthcare infrastructure in this country. The more we can do this, Speaker, the more we can invest in our own health and to make sure this country boasts of a healthcare infrastructure that our neighbors are envious of as of today. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Yes, Honorable Chair.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity. I think that the decision to do these projects, particularly the one on the Accra-Kumasi Highway, is very important, because just like from Accra to Sekendi, then at Winneba, a trauma hospital, it is important that we also have one on that main highway. Again, it is important also that in the case of rehabilitating health centers, I think that, importantly, we should be raising them to the level of a district hospital. If that is the case, it is good. But putting money to elevate them to what level again as a health? We should be going beyond that. We should go further and ensure that these other two health centers that are to be worked on should be raised to the level of the district hospital. I'm not talking about political district hospital. I'm talking about a hospital that has all the features that a district have, whether they already have one or not. But as the committee is saying, they don't have a government hospital in these areas, and I urge that that should be done. Recently, we were very happy that the president said before the end of the year, and in particular in July, more hospitals will be started, about 96 of them. I hope that the beginning and before the end of the month, we should have all these hospitals started so that the fulfillment of the promise that the president made will come to fruition. Mr. Speaker, I cannot just conclude without again insisting that the EPC contract, as the committee's own report, be brought to this House. That is the one that is going to look at the details of what is to be provided, and the technical aspects will be important. And of course, without that, the Constitution, the ruling that the Supreme Court gave, it is not possible to go ahead with these projects. I will thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the House and particularly the committee for the assistance given to us. The chairman of the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee for the assistance given to us and in bringing the loan this far. Mr. Speaker, I just want to address one thing that has been going on. They are talking about we bringing the commercial contracts. Usually when you have an agreement like this and it's going to be done by a local contractor, the law does not require us to bring a commercial agreement. It's the same for the tropical cables. And we also did same in 2016 for the ECG meters. But if they are requesting for us to bring it, we will surely bring it. But the law does not require us to bring it if it is going to be done by a local contractor. Mr. Speaker, the location of Inyinem and Inresi Hospital, which is halfway between Accra Road, we believe will ensure that a lot of people from the catchment area have access to the health facilities. Mr. Speaker, I'm being distracted by my colleagues here. And we believe that it will improve the general well-being of the people in the catchment area and people who use that road. The addition of a trauma center will also ensure that should there be any unfortunate incidents, looking at the way the highway is very, very busy, people will get access to problems and will get access to professional health care in good time. Mr. Speaker, this is a testament of the fact that health and safety of Ghanaians are very dear to the President and this government. Mr. Speaker, this has taken the people of Etiwa East constituency some time, because we remember very well that this project was in the last year of the Kufuor administration, that's late 2008. And it has taken the MPP government again, under the leadership of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to bring this to fruition. The people of Enyinem and Inresi and the other surrounding towns, like Ankase, Mampong, Asamai, Mosiaso, Adaswase, Ahankresu, CHIREH, JJT, Krobomu, Awoswase, Abekwase, and Yekutuasi to Tieria Subriso are very delighted and will forever be grateful to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for the immense health care and other socio-economic benefits to be derived from these projects. In 36 months after the commencement objects, the people of Etiwa East will witness a trauma hospital in Enyinem and a refurbished accident and emergency ward hospital in Inresi as well. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Minority Whip, do you have a problem?
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I think he should speak to what he brought to the House and start the report and start making campaign, because they have only 4 months to leave power, and you are asking people to thank the president for doing what?
Mr. Speaker, I repeat that the people of Etiwa East are very delighted and will forever be grateful to Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for the immense health care and other socio-economic benefits to be derived from these projects. In 36 months after the commencement of this project, Etiwa East will witness a new trauma hospital in Enyinem and a refurbished and a new accident and emergency block in Inresi Hospital. So, Mr. Speaker, on this note, I urge all members to adopt the report approved by resolution, this loan facility. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
On that note, I'll put a question. I went from here to there. Honorable Moses.
Speaker,
Majority Whip.
Speaker, I think leadership hasn't had their turn. If you can allow leadership some few times.
Honorable, beg your pardon.
I'm pleading with you, Mr. Speaker.
That
leadership haven't had their turn. If you could. If you could, Mr. Speaker, just few time for leadership to contribute.
I don't get your request.
I plead with you, Mr. Speaker.
Please go on. I mean, you want, what exactly do you want?
Mr. Speaker,
The Honorable Whip spoke for the minority. And then I saw...
Mr. Speaker,
Honorable, you want to make a comment?
yes, I really want to make a comment.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
minority leadership too will make a comment, please.
Very well.
Okay, I yield it to it.
Mr. Speaker, we thank you for the opportunity to add our voice to the motion on the floor. Mr. Speaker, it's important that our facilities, especially our health facilities, are improved, particularly so in view of the number of accidents that are recorded on our roads. And I'm more happy that on the arterial road that we speak of, on the arterial road from Apejwa all the way to Konongo, that stretch, the facility at Indresi will be able to help to cater for this when it happens. So is the Obuasi one. So, Mr. Speaker, if I may refer you to page 5 of the report, which details the particulars of the project. Mr. Speaker, a very important project like that, we are saying that, for instance, for the main theater, we're going to have a 6-bed recovery room, an 8-bed intensive care unit, and a 6-bed high dependency unit. Mr. Speaker, the difficulty I have is sometimes the accidents are such that there are so many persons involved or passengers involved. And if a facility of this nature is supposed to be available to respond to these emergencies, then the inhabitants are already inherent in this project.
Honorable, please stand at the point of order. Honorable member for that.
Guide colleagues, it's an approximately 100-bed facility. Those are measured in beds. So if you have a 100-bed facility, you require a certain number of triage. Triage is basically the person at the front of the emergency who will determine maybe somebody's in real trauma or somebody just got a little scratch at the finger. So we can't say that because it's on a highway, we have 50-bed triage. It's a 100-bed hospital, so you have to grade the levels of beds based on that. It's quite technical, so it is not out of place. If you want it to be a regional hospital, they might have a 20-bed or more triage facility. So it's just a little guide to call it.
So that, now, Honorable, in conclusion.
Mr. Speaker, I am guided, but I am making the point that even though I see that if you look at the public health department, it's indicated that it's a 100-bed facility. But we speak of accidents, emergencies that often, at the time of saving lives, you need a higher capacity area in order to do this. And my observation is that the 6-bed, for instance, the 6-bed recovery room, it's not enough. That's my point.
Thank you.
Yes, and
conclude,
so we are in support. We are in support. We at the House to support the approval of this facility, so that next time we also take the opportunity and build another one at the Peki Government Hospital on the Eastern Corridor Road. Yes, it's also critical, and so that it can cater for the emergencies that may occur on the Eastern Corridor Road. Mr. Speaker, finally, to draw a Deputy Minister of Finance attention to the fact that it is Article 181 that speaks of commercial agreements and not Article 185, just for
the correction.
Yes, Honorable Majority.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. The report itself, in its observation, has stated that the committee recommends that the Minister for Health take steps to formally present the EPC contract to the House for referral appropriate committee of the House for consideration and report. So definitely when we adopt the report as it is, definitely that will be taken. But Mr. Speaker, let me applaud government for taking the steps to improve on health infrastructure and also provide quality health service. Mr. Speaker, we all, as part of the SGD 3, we're supposed to ensure year by year a universal coverage for health quality delivery and Mr. Speaker, it is in this vein that we are supporting to make sure that those hospitals and health centers are updated and retooled. Mr. Speaker, the most important one again is that under the able leadership of President Kufuor, one most successful president in the history of this country, we instituted the National Health Insurance, which has astronomically increased the OPD numbers. And we need to commensurate that structural provision.
Let's speak to the report.
Mr. Speaker, the Obuasi retooling of the Obuasi Health Center or rehabilitation or upgrading of the Obuasi Health Center to this level of this facility is in line with life that has been brought to Obuasi. Obuasi and Obuasi Township came to a halt as of 2014. The whole town was dead because the mining company came to an end. Mr. Speaker, it took.
Please, let us circumscribe this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I take a cue. Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to draw the attention. In conclusion, Obuasi Mine Development Project in December 2019, we had the first go that has brought a lot of numbers in Obuasi. Today, Obuasi mine has employed a lot of people, and we need such a facility to be upgraded so that the health delivery will be effectively done at Obuasi. And I'm just applauding the president for making sure that today we have live Obuasi by the Obuasi Mine Project, instituting the Obuasi Mine Project, which came to a halt and got dead by 2014 under the leadership of President and former President Joe Mama. That is the point I want to make, and it is in line with upgrading the facility from a health center to a hospital. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I conclude.
I saw you on your feet.
Mr. Speaker, I hardly would have interrupted my leader, but he knows that by the rules of the House, he's not supposed to make comments that will generate controversy and debate. So he should stick to the contents of the report and leave the tangentials for another day.
I'll put a question. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is duly adopted. Item listed 10, resolution. And the Honorable Deputy Minister, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move that the resolution captured as item 10 on pages 5 and 6 of today's order paper be adopted now. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to the motion. Thank you.
All those in favor of the adoption of the resolution say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. And the resolution is accordingly adopted. Majority whip.
Mr. Speaker, I've been alerted by the chairman of the Mines and Energy Committee that he is ready to take item 6. So with your leave and the indulgence of members, if we can.
Item listed 6. Chairman of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that this Honorable House adopts the report of the Committee on Mines and Energy on the 2020 work group of Ghana National Petroleum Corporation. Mr. Speaker, I will present your committee's report. I will seek your indulgence to make some few amendments to the report. Mr. Speaker, the appendix to the report.
Table 1 has it been distributed to all members?
Rightly so, Mr. Speaker.
Right, then talk about table 1 as already distributed.
Yes.
Period. You are not going to go.
Okay, thank you very much.
A statement of all those figures there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the committee has dealt with a referral, and a number of issues have been taken care of. With your indulgence, Mr. Speaker, I will just briefly take 1 or 2 of them and request that the Hazard Department captures the whole report as being read. Mr. Speaker,
the figure at table 1 addendum. Filed, just filed.
Mr. Speaker,
is be a corrective onto what is in the report.
Mr. What is in the report? There is a background to this. The GMPC work program for 2020 was late and later withdrawn, and a new one was laid before the committee. So if you look at the appendix, the revised figures is what is before the committee, and that is what is contained in
the report.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It is to be adopted accordingly. Correct?
Thank you.
Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, on page 22 of 7, observations, 9.1, the impact of the current development in the oil market. The committee noted that the price war between Saudi Arabia and Russia, as well as the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, led to a crash in oil prices in the first quarter of 2020. The price of Brent crude dropped from an average of $62 in December 20 to as low as 22.90 as at 30th March 2020, and is projected to average around $30 per barrel for Ghana's crude liftings, down from the $58.6 originally estimated by the corporation. Consequently, the total amount of $837.73 million down from the original estimation of 926.8 is expected to be realized in 2020, while total expenditure is projected to be 1.125.64 million. The detail attached as appendix, as corrected, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, conclusion and recommendation. The committee has thoroughly scrutinized the program of activities of GMPC and the associated financial requirements for 2020 financial year, and is largely satisfied that the activities outlined for the year fall within the scope of the mandate of the corporation as stated under PNDC Law 64. The committee therefore recommends to the House this report and approve the 2020 program of activities of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation in accordance with Section 7(3)(b) of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act 2011 at 1.5. Respectively submitted. Thank you, Right Honourable.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairman. Yes, Honourable.
Right Honourable Speaker, I rise to second the motion ably moved by my committee chairman Mr. Speaker, in doing so, I just want to point to paragraph 9.2, the financing. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that GMPC is not a bank, yet the government continues to use its balance sheets to source for loans for other activities which are not GMPC core activities. And that is why there's a finance gap in GMPC's activities. Mr. Speaker, I also want to urge the users of GMPC gas to pay for it on time so that GMPC will not face the financial difficulties they are facing. I agree that the price war between Russia and Saudi Arabia has affected GMPC negatively, but there are certain things we can also do internally to avoid further difficulties. Mr. Speaker, everything else said is appropriate. The table he changed is correct, and I wish to urge the House to approve the work program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, honourable members, for your consideration. Minority leadership. Any contribution?
Leader, I will give it to
Very well.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to make a few comments in respect of the approval of this, the work plan of GMPC. Mr. Speaker, I recall that last year, as part of their social contribution to other projects, GMPC made donations to other institutions, which institutions some of us consider were not necessary to warrant donation from GMPC. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the figure or the figures that we are looking at, GMPC intends to undertake a lot of programs for the year. And it's important that because some of these programs are major and will contribute towards our energy revenue situations, it's important they do not spend so much on other non-core activities that they appear to be spending on these days. Mr. Speaker, GMPC, for instance, if you look at the addendum that has just been brought, that is, if you look at Table 1, 2020 funds requirement, GMPC is asking for as much as $143.8 million. But that has since been revised to $57.72 million. Mr. Speaker, they are unable to explain what accounts for this main reduction from about 143 million up to 57. If you look at, and that is just for the Jubilee oil field. And if you also look at the Tin oil field, there's also, so in all the reports that they brought, this one, the figures that we are looking at, there's a reduction, there's a revision of all the original figures. And so it's a problem that originally you estimate to do this, and then there's a drastic reduction in the figures without any explanatory notes.
Honourable Chairman.
For me.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we just want to plead with the honourable member to look at 22 of 27, the observations. The first bullet, which is 9.1. You stated clearly that the impact of this provision and the crash in the oil are the results that we are seeing in the revision of the figures. So the experts and the technical people have done the numbers. So for me, if you say there's no explanation to that, you are not being fair.
standing on a point of order or a point of correction, but it's not for you. You may have your opinion, but the opinion need not be his opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is point of correction. Thank you very much.
Yes, Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the chairman of the committee, but my point is that there's an addendum to the report. If indeed that is supposed to replace or is supplementary to what is contained in the mother report, my point is that there's still indeed the necessity for some footnotes to be included to explain the drastic reduction in the figures. And so, Mr. Speaker, on this brief note, I urge the House to approve of the work plan for.
Thank you very much. Majority Whip.
Mr. Speaker, I yield to the Vice Chairman of the committee.
Honorable Vice Chairman.
Grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we all know that DNPC is a versatile, purposeful vehicle to leverage oil that we have. And Mr. Speaker, they have lived up to expectation as far as this regime is concerned. Mr. Speaker, my good friend on the other side rightly mentioned the corporate social responsibilities that they are embarking on and noted that it's an aspect that he would want DNPC to steer. I believe the purpose of DNPC is to really leverage and also have this or support this country to benefit from the oil that we have. So if you have an entity that has been able to embark on so much as far as education is concerned, awarding about 1,035 foreign scholarships, supplying about 12,000 monodesks, supporting other entities like building of laboratories for senior high schools, construction of 6-unit classroom blocks for 50 senior schools. Mr. Speaker, I don't think there is a need for us to discourage DNPC in this regard. Mr. Speaker, apart from that, DNPC has also been concentrating on supporting sports and other endeavors. Mr. Speaker, the concern raised with regards to financing gap, I believe, has also been well explained in the report, and my colleague has a copy and can go through because I wouldn't have that much time to go through, but they are well explained, so you can go through and find out why the financing gap. And also, if you go through the report, you would also find out that we mentioned decommissioning of the Sultan oil field, which has been suspended because of the COVID that we're experiencing. That has also been well explained. Mr. Speaker, on that note, we'll commend GMPC, the Chief Executive, the board, for the good work done so far, and we believe Ghana will continue to benefit from their outfit. Grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vice Chairman. Honorable members, at the conclusion of the debate, all those on the motion number 6 say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is duly adopted accordingly. Item listed 11. Land Bill 2019. The first Deputy Speaker will please take the chair. Land Bill 2019 at the consideration stage. Chairman, where are we? I see a number of clauses.
Right, Honorable Speaker, we'll start from clause 142. That's X.
142.
X. But yesterday, we proposed an amendment to 141, which we have dropped now. So I think you asked the question for 141 before we go to 142.
Well, put the question on one. I don't get you, Honorable.
Yesterday, we stood down 141 for further consultation, but we have come back to withdraw the amendment we proposed. So you put the question for 141 before we go to 142.
So, yes, Honorable Hussein.
Mr. Speaker, 141 was not taken yesterday. It was not taken because we thought that clause 5 of 141 needed further work. But on reflection at the informal winnowing committee level, we conclude that the way the provision has been couched satisfies the requirement of law. But the question was not put on 141. So in principle, we are starting from 141.
So 141, as it stands, should form part of the bill. Thank you very much. Honorable members, the question is clause 141.
Partition and severance.
As it stands, should stand part of the bill. And all those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 142.
Consents of lessor, assignment of lease.
Yes, Chairman.
Clause 142, subclause 1, line 2. Delete by the lessee and insert by a lessee. So the new rendition will be on the registration of a lease containing an agreement, express or implied, by a lessee that the lessee shall not transfer.
Honorable members, the proposed amendment is for your consideration.
Yes, Chairman.
Right, Honorable Speaker, XI.
Yes.
142.
142. Clause
Yes.
142, yes.
Yes. 142, clause 142, subclause 4, line 1. Delete it and insert the land registrar. So it will read, despite subsection 2, where the land registrar determines that.
All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Now, clause 142 as amended shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 142 as amended is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 143.
Lease and breach of an obligation.
Aye, Chairman.
Clause 143, subclause line 1. Delete subclauses 1, lines 1 and 2. Delete "it has been," and insert "the lease is." So it will read, "A lease shall not be registered if on the face of the instrument the lease is made in breach."
For the consideration of the House. All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. And clause 143 as amended is ordered to stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 143 as amended is ordered to stand the bill. Clause 144.
Variation and extension of lease.
Let's not advertise amendment to clause 144. All in favor of... Yes, Chairman.
Skipped clause 1424. I was waiting to hear that one. I didn't hear that one. 4. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. All in favor of clause 144 being of the bill, say aye.
Aye.
All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 144 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 145.
Substitution of lease.
I.
Clause 145, line 2, delete the lessee and insert a lessee. So it will read, where on the presentation of a lease registration, the land registrar is satisfied that a lessee has been registered.
All in favor of the amendment say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Now, clause 145 as amended is ordered shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 145 as amended is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 146.
Surrender of lease.
Let's not advertise amendment to 146. All in favor of clause 146 being a part of the bill, say aye. All against, no. The ayes have it. Clause 146 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 147.
Determination of lease.
Amendment proposed. Chairman.
Clause 147, head note, determination, and insert termination. So it will read termination of lease.
All in favor of the amendment say aye. And say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Item XV.
Clause 147, subclause 1, line 1. Delete determined and insert terminated. So it will read, where a registered lease is lawfully terminated by either of the parties.
All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Item XVI.
Clause 147, subclause 3, line 2. Delete determine and insert terminated, and in line 3, delete it and insert the termination. So it will read, despite subsection 1, whether the land registrar, when, oh, did we change that? Whenever the land registrar notices that a lease is lawfully terminated, the land registrar shall make a note of the termination in the land register.
All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Now, clause 1 as variously amended shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 147 as variously amended shall stand part of the bill. Clause 148.
Form and effects of mortgage.
Amendment proposed. Chairman.
Clause 148, subclause 1, line 3. Delete it and insert the mortgage. So the third line will read have effect unless the mortgage is registered in accordance with this act.
All in favor of this amendment? Yes, Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I support the chairman's amendment, but with your indulgence and leave, the words does not and does not have effect. Is that how the construction should be? Is of no effect and does not have effect. Those of them who have done more drafting, is that the same? Is of no effect and does not have effect. But he's substituting and adding mortgage, and it I support him. But Speaker, I was just wondering, does not have effect, whether that language is elegant or good enough. Does not have effect. Is of no effect. Should be better. It shall have no effect, Mr. Speaker. Rightly so. But does not have effect. I'll take a cue from Mr. Speaker. They are different. I think, yes.
Yes, Chairman of Constitution and Legal.
Mr. Speaker, this is Old English. I'm swayed by by Minority Leader's proposed amendment that does not have effect. Does not have effect. It's not compelling enough. So it's of no effect. It's better than does not have effect.
Is that agreeable to? So you change it to the tertials of no effect. Is of no effect. All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Clause 148 as amended shall form part of the bill. All say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 148 as amended shall stand part of the bill.
Consent of mortgagee to transfer.
There's no advertised amendment to clause 149. All in favor of clause 149 being a part of the bill, say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 149 to stand part of the bill. Clause 150. Chairman, item XVII.
Variation of mortgage.
Clause 15, line 1. Delete the parties and insert parties. And in line 3, delete those and insert them. So it will read, parties to a mortgage may vary the amount secured, the method of repayment, the rate of interest, or the other terms of the mortgage by registering an instrument of variation executed by the parties.
Yes, Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, I support the second leg of the chairman, but I should consider I didn't hear him well. So the first day in 150, will it be maintained or taken? We are taking the day off. Parties, okay, thank you.
All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Now the question Yes.
Mr. Speaker, on 150, with your leave, write a third person. Is it a third person we want or a third party? Third person in the fifth line. The fifth line. Do we want to use a third party or a third person? Third person. Chairman for Consular, look at line 150, the fifth line, whether it should be third party or a third person. I'm not sure, Mr. Speaker, I want to count a fourth person or a fifth person. You are saying that if there is a relationship with the parties, but I want to understand the use of the word person there, because even your line that you have just amended, you said those parties to the mortgage. So if there is a third person, that third person will be a third party. But I'll stand by the chairman.
That person may not be a party to the agreement, okay, but you have interest.
Okay, thank you.
Now, clause 150 as amended shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 150 as amended shall stand part of the bill. Clause 151.
Further advances.
Amendment proposed. Chairman.
Clause 151, subclause 1, opening phrase, line 1. After all, insert off. So it will read, a mortgage of land or of an interest land registered under this act.
All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. Against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Now, clause 151 as amended shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I thought at the winnowing level we agreed that we're going to insert or we abandon it. A parcel of land or we abandon it. Or we left it at a parcel. We left that parcel because it's defined. It's defined, okay.
All in favor of clause 151 being a part of the bill say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 151 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 152.
Transport gauge.
Item XX. Chairman.
Clause 152, subclause 3, line 1, delete with it. So the subclause 3 will read, the transfer shall convey all the options associated.
All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Now, clause 152 as amended shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 152 as amended is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 153.
Discharge of mortgage.
To advertise amendment to clause 153. All in favor of clause 153 being a part of the bill say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 153 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 4.
Transfer.
All in favor of clause 154 being a part of the bill say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. 154 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 155.
Conditional transfer.
Clause 155 shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 155 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 156.
Entering of order declaring title or interest in land.
Let's not advertise amendment to 156. All in favor of 156 being a part of the bill say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 156 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 157.
Registration of easement.
All in favor of clause 157 being a part of the bill, say aye. All against, say no. The ayes have it. Yes, Chairman of Constitution and Legal.
Mr. Speaker, 157, I've seen there's no proposed amendment there, but we propose an amendment in respect of the second line of 1571, the word "it." We decided to delete, and he said a grant or reservation. He said a grant or reservation of an easement created by instrument does not have effect. We may have to even amend it in view of it's of no effect unless the grant or reservation is registered as an encumbrance relating to the land. So, Mr. Speaker, I will want to propose two amendments. The first one is in relation to does not have effect. We'll read is of no effect unless the "it" there represents grant or reservation. So it will be the grant or reservation is registered. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Yes.
Speaker, I associate myself with the proposed chairman amendment by the constitutional leader, except to add, with your leave and indulgence, when we use the word in the third line, land burdened, whether burdened is the appropriate language, land burdened, and whether within the literature we will not find an appropriate word. Is the land burdened by easement? It's an encumbrance, but is burdened the word to use? But I do associate myself with the first part of his amendment. My difficulty is with the word land burdened. The land is encumbered. Encumbrance is popular. And okay, thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with the minority leader, and that indeed, with the use of the word encumbrance in the second line, there's no need for us to identify the land burden again. Indeed, if you read a grant or reservation of an easement created by an instrument is of no effect unless the grant or reservation is registered as an encumbrance relating to the land. Yes. So we don't have to qualify with burden again. Yes.
Encumbrance is the burden.
Exactly.
The land will change to that land, and then burdened is deleted. That land by the easement in the manner prescribed by the regulations. In favor of the proposed amendments to clause 157, say aye. All against, say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Now clause 157 as amended shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 157 as amended. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, just to suggest that consequentially we have used encumbrance and land burden in some of the provisions, sub-provisions. So table of it should accordingly. You see? Which one?
No, if we make a general rule like that, we can have a problem.
Let's leave it that way.
Yeah.
No. So we
That,
said encumbrance land.
the sense in which the amendment is made is very clear. Burden is also a legal term. That's the encumbrance. And so, because it's come on the floor of the House, we need to look at the sentence carefully. But the amendment is good. But should it only be the deletion of burdens? I don't think so. A grant or reservation of an easement created by an instrument is of no effect unless the grant or reservation is registered as an encumbrance relating to that land in a manner prescribed by regulations. A grant or reservation of an easement created by an instrument is of no effect unless the grant or reservation is registered as an encumbrance relating to that land in the manner prescribed by regulations. That's how it should be.
All in favor of the proposed amendment, say aye. We'll go to the subtext, but for this one,
yes,
we'll put a question on this one, and then we'll take the next ones.
If the provision is clear, because Mr. read 1571 carefully. It says, burdened by the easement.
Yes. Burdened by the encumbrance.
By the easement.
Yes.
So it's burdened by the easement. So if we take away burdened and the easement, it will distort the meaning. It will distort the meaning. We'll still have to maintain the easement, but if we are not comfortable with burdened, Mr. Speaker, we may do away with say, but the easement, because it is the land which is encumbered by the easement. That is the sense in which 5571 is crafted. I'm afraid that if we were to delete burden by the easement, we won't get the meaning clearly. So it is land encumbered by the easement.
It is only a repetition of what has been described earlier. Yes, Honorable.
Speaker, this is to allow for an easement to be operative. So if there's an easement that says that the right to use this path is guaranteed under the lease agreement, that is the burden on the land. But I support the minority leader's amendment because burden, even though we understand in the legal term, it's a problem for the ordinary man. So, what is the provision saying? The provision is saying that a grant or reservation of an easement. So it says a grant of an easement or your land is a reservation of an easement created by the instrument, so the lease, is of no effect. That grant or reservation of the easement is of no effect unless the grant or the easement, unless the grant or the reservation is registered as an encumbrance. So we could just even stop at that point. Unless it is registered as an encumbrance, we could just stop at that point. But we want to bring specificity to the provision in relation to that land, not any other land. Okay? And it should be done in the manner prescribed by regulations. That's all that is saying.
I think it's very clear.
It's so clear.
All in favor of the proposed amendment, say aye. All against, say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Now, the subclauses. Can we read them to be sure that we don't need any further amendment? Yes.
Mr. Speaker, for the sake of internal consistency, for instance, if you look at the subclause 2, subclause B, we are saying that the land burdened by the easement in the particular part of the land which is and C, the land which enjoys the benefit of the easement. So my humble position is that because we have used encumbrance, so we have to say that the incumbent land by the easement in the particular part of that land burdened, so that the second burden will be appropriate.
I think the amendment we have carried is we have done is sufficient.
Very well.
And I've read through the subsections. You don't need any further amendment. So I'll put the question on 157. 157 as amended shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. 157 as amended is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 158.
Registration of restrictive covenants.
There's no advertised amendment to clause 158. All in favor of clause 158? Yes.
Speaker, even though there is no advertised amendment, if you read the head notes, registration restrictive covenant, then you come to 1581, where an instrument would contains a covenant. The head note suggests there is a covenant known and described as a restrictive covenant. But tie the head note to the line 1 of 158.
It's defining what is a restrictive covenant, so it is there. Right. All in favor of the clause 158 being a part of the bill, say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 158 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 159.
Registration of profits.
There's no advertised amendment to clause 159. All in favor of clause 159 being a part of the bill, say aye. All against say no. Yes, Honorable Member for South Day.
The table office may consequentially amend, for instance, 1591. The grant of a profit is of no effect unless, yes, so that we take the house.
Yes, I so directed. Where the context admits the draft persons shall change, all instances has no effect to, is of no effect. I so direct. And clause 159 shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 159 is stand part of the bill. Clause 160.
Release and cancellation of easements, profits, or restrictive covenants.
Honourable members, before you proceed, having regards to the state of the business of the House, I direct that the House sits outside the regular sitting hours. Now you may continue.
Clause 160, subclause 2, paragraph C, line 2, delete limitations and insert limitation act.
All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Amendment is carried. Yes, Honorable. Now, clause 161 as amended, clause 160 as amended shall stand part of the bill. All say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 160 as amended shall stand part of the bill. Clause 161.
License.
There's no advertised amendment to clause 161. All in favor of clause 161 forming a part of the bill, say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 161 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 162.
Registration of contractual license.
Chairman.
Clause 162, subclause 2, line 2. Delete it and insert the license. So it will read, unless the license is registered.
All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. All against no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Now, item XXII. Chairman.
Clause 162, subclause 3, paragraph B, delete it and insert the instrument. So it will read, have attached the instrument an approved plan.
All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Now the question, yes, Honorable Minority.
Speaker, with your leave and indulgence, 1623, before license, whether we should not insert contractual license. Chairman, the instrument creating the license, which license are you referring to? As I get the head note, contractual license, but I'm wondering whether the word contractual should not precede the word license. Okay.
Chairman of Constitution and Legal.
Mr. Speaker, it's not. It doesn't have to be brought because of the use of the word there. So the definite article there will definitely refer to the contractual license. That is why contractual is not being repeated in the provision.
All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. All against say no. The ayes. Now clause 162 are variously amended. Shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The clause 162 are variously amended. Shall stand part of the bill. Clause 1.
Form of instruments.
There's no advertised amendment to clause 163. All in favor of clause 163 being a part of the bill say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 163 is to stand part of the bill. Clause 164.
Verification of execution of instruments.
Item XXIV. Chairman.
Clause 164, subclause 2, line 4 and 5. Delete Land Registration Division and insert Institute of Language. Mr. Speaker, we're talking about translation of the instrument into the English language. So it's not the Land Title Registry or whatever. It should be Institute of Languages.
The Institute of Languages is a school, but there's Bureau of Ghana Languages. Is it that you want? Which one do you want to do the translation? Yes, Honorable Southside.
Mr. Speaker, I support the present amendment. Indeed, the verification of the proper translation of any written material in the local language to English, that certification can only come the appropriate institute mandated in order to do so. It is not a function of the Lands Commission to do so. So that is why we are saying that that function should be vested in this act in the director of the Institute of Languages. Because in that institute, Mr. Speaker, they are mandated in law to teach all the local languages, all the approved local languages. So they will be better placed to be able to, for instance, if it is in Ghana, they will have the proficiency to do the translation from Ghana to English and certify so If it's from Twi to English, they'll have the proficiency to do so and certify the content. So I am in full support of the present amendment, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable.
I haven't asked the relevant from where you are sitting. I think this amendment is misplaced. It's misplaced. And certified is the wrong word. It should be approved. Approved. What the law is saying is that if an instrument is not in the English language, it should be translated by a translator. It should be translated into English language by a translator. And that translator should be approved by the Director of Land Registry Division for that purpose. He should approve. This is the translator we want to do the translation. But because we use certified, because the law use certified, that's how we change the Director of Land Registration Division into, because of the certified, because the director cannot give certificates. But the real intendment is that the Land Registration Division of the Lands Commission must approve of any translator who should translate of a document into English. That's the intendment of the provision. Approve, not certify, approve.
Yes, Chairman of Constitution Legal.
Mr. Speaker, for this point, I will want to depart from my ranking that we have an institute that deals with the translations of languages. The land registry is not in the business of doing translation because they don't have the competence, the expertise, and the capacity to do that. So if we want somebody to translate an institute which is not in the English language into the English language, then we must as well go to the appropriate institution to give the approval. We must well go to the appropriate institute or institution to give the approval. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about approval of a translator. So how would the land registry be able to know the level of competence and expertise of the translator? It is the Institute of Languages that is set up purposely to do that. To that extent, they have the necessary skill and the necessary competence to be able to determine whether Mr. A is the appropriate translator for this particular instrument. So, Mr. Speaker, I would want to agree with the chair of the Lands Committee with respect to the proposed amendment that he intends to effect. So, Mr. Speaker, the change in my ranking from Institute of Languages to the director, which expression, Mr. Speaker, in 164, which we are seeking to amend, I think with the greatest respect is misplaced.
What law are you holding? Yes.
Wait, it's not an old law. How is it an old law? That's the existing law.
Address me, please.
Mr. I'm surprised that he shouted it's not an old law. That's the current law. That's the current law. And it's an error. We have committed an error. I've been given this law.
Chairman, address the matter before us,
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the law is quite clear. And I said that your guidance has brought me back to the correct position. This law says that the translator must be approved. And uses that word. I'm still looking for the provision because this man threw me off.
Whilst you're looking for it, yes, take your time and look for it. Yes, Honorable Member for Tamale North.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think that I'm also persuaded by your questions prompted the discussion on this proposed amendment. Mr. Speaker, I think what is that the translator has to be certified. But that certified translator has to be approved or registered with the Land Registry Division. So because of this understanding, I wish to propose, Mr. Speaker, that the section now reads, where an instrument presented to the land registrar is in a language other than the English language, the instrument shall enter together with a translation of the instrument into the English language by a translator registered with the Land Registration Division for the purpose. For that purpose. So the translator who is certified by whichever institution that is translators has to register with the Land Registration Division. That is my proposal, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, tell us what you
I found it. And it reflects in section 94(2). And I think that he was also getting the sense. Where an instrument presented to the land registrar is in a language other than the English language, it should be presented together with a translation into English language, certified a competent person approved by the land registrar. That's it. So we could combine the two. We could say that certified by a competent person, and if we want the Institute of Languages to appear, we can say certified by the director of the Institute of Languages and approved by the director of this thing. That's what the law says.
Honourable members, I want us to consider this. We don't have any evidence of any instrument in a language, a local language, and there's no likelihood of any such thing. Considering a document registered in, say, Afrikaans in South Africa, or in Dutch, or in French, which is brought here to be registered. Now, because Afrikaans is not a language that is used in the country, somebody must translate what is contained in that document into English language for the registrar to consider. But who is that person who can translate? And that is the provision we are making here. The person who will be competent to translate into English language. So who do we want to certify that person before the, and what role do we want the Lands Commission to do? I think if we have this discussion, we will have. Yes, Honourable Member for Wa West.
Thank you very much. If you look at the way it has been put, the important thing is what you have said.
Yes.
The translator has to be a certified translator or approved by or registered with a competent public body. And that public body is the Institute of Languages. That has to be clear, because only such translators who can make a translation and then the lands registry or land registration can go on. So, as he's saying, the committee changed the certified by. Now, if we are certifying the document, that is the work of the registration. I mean, the land registrar.
Let's try it this way.
I'm saying that if you are certifying the complete document now with the translation, it is going to be
let's look at it this way. If we change this to translation of the instrument into the English language by a certified translator, one approved by the... So wherever you do your certification is not an issue for us, but the land registry must accept your certification as a translator from whatever language to English language. I think so. The amendment may be language, translation of the instrument to an English language by a certified translator approved by the Land Registration Division for that purpose. Will that be sufficient? All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Now, item XXV, Chairman.
Amendment proposed, clause 164, subclause 3, clause 3, line 3. Delete there and insert there. So the line 3 will read, require any of the parties or the respective witnesses to appear.
All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Now, clause 164 as amended shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against. The ayes have it. Clause 164 as amended is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 165.
Something.
There's no advertised amendment to clause 165. All in favor of clause 165 being a part of the bill say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 165 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 166.
Disposal of instrument.
Clause 166 shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 166 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 167.
Infants.
Amendment proposed. Chairman.
Clause 167, subclause 7, line 3. Delete they and insert the personal representatives or trustees. So the third line will read names of the personal representatives or trustees, and the personal representative or trustees shall have for the purposes of this act.
All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Clause 167 as amended shall stand part of the bill. All in say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 167 as amended is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 168.
Agents.
Item XXVII, Chairman.
Clause 168, subclause 1, line 5, at end, add of this act. So, Mr. Speaker, at the end it will read sections 68 and 164 of this act.
All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye.
Aye.
All against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Now, Clause 168 as amended shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against. The ayes have it. Clause 168 as amended is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 169.
Persons lacking capacity to contract.
Clause 169 shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 169 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 170.
Registration of power.
Item XXVIII, Chairman.
Clause 170, subclause 1, line 4 and 5. Delete land registrar a certified copy of, and insert land registrar, a certified copy of. So the fourth line will read, and the original, or with the consent of the land registrar, a certified copy of the power of attorney shall be filed.
All in favor of the proposal say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Amendment is carried. Honorable Member Fadansi Asuka, please, the seat is waiting for you here. Now,
I didn't quite hear what you said.
I said a seat is waiting for you here in the front row.
Which one is it? Which one?
Front row number one.
Thank you very much.
Please take a seat.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
All in favor of clause 170 as amended, being a part of the bill, say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 170 as amended is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 170.
Effects of registered power of attorney.
Clause 171 shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 171 is ordered to stand part of the clause 172.
Registration of certificates of allocation.
Amendment proposed. Chairman, item XXIX.
Clause 170, subclause 1, line 1. After allocation, insert as specified in the third schedule. So it will read a certificate of allocation as specified in the third schedule issued by the Lands Commission.
Yes, Honorable Member for Southern.
Mr. Thank you. As part of this amendment, we're supposed to indicate a certain form, as is the practice, as reflected in the schedule. So I was hoping that the amendment with the number of the form, because normally with the question, we say that as specified in form so and so and so of the third schedule. So if the table office will indicate, it may not reflect in the proceedings now, but if they can indicate where exactly in the schedule, otherwise it may escape us. Yeah, it must be number. It must carry a number.
No.
Mr. Speaker, what I'm saying is that it will be a certificate of allocation as specified in form so and so of the third schedule. Yes, that is how this phrase is couched in the other provisions. But the number of the form is missing. And my fear is that if we leave it like this, it may escape them. So they need to indicate.
For the third schedule to confirm whether it forms.
Mr. Speaker, in fact, it is not there. It's not part of it.
No, it's there.
What? Oh, I was.
No, it's there. How can the bill not have it? The third schedule, Mr. Speaker, is on 165, page 165. Yes.
Mr. Speaker.
Form 1. So it is actually so which form?
Mr. Speaker, you will see that Form 1 of the test schedule is of declaration of a registration district. But my humble position is that in 1721, we are making reference to a specific document, which is certificate of allocation. So my humble position is that we need to develop a template, because as the contents of this certificate of allocation are actually captured under 1723. But we haven't developed the form, we haven't developed the template. So my position yesterday at the winnowing, we made it clear that we need to develop it and make it part of the forms that are captured under the text. So just to draw the table office attention, if they can just indicate the number that this particular form, if it's developed, will carry. So because we are carrying an amendment that will go into the records.
Yes. Wow.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, the drafters indicated we are adding specified. The fact that we have added specified doesn't mean that it should be in the schedule according. If you look at schedule, it has up to how many forms over about more than 26, you see, forms. Now, if they wanted it so, it would have been indicated. But if there is a provision in this bill that indicates certificate of allocation as a form, it will also be indicated. He is talking about if it is an oversight, fine, but we cannot say that there must be a form because we know what allocation certificate should be.
Yes, Chairman, you are on your feet.
Right, Honorable Speaker, my attention has been drawn by the table office that it should be specified in 42 of the third schedule.
So, are you including that in your amendment?
Yes, right, Honorable Speaker.
Very well. So, the new rendition will then be a certificate of allocation as specified in Form 22 in the third schedule. All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Item XXIX. No, not XXX. Item XXX.
Clause 172, subclause 3, paragraph A. Delete ministry, department, or agency and insert organ of state, ministry, department, agency, or any other institution of state.
Isn't that clumsy? Organ of state, institution of state. Isn't that clumsy?
Mr. Speaker, this was a thorny issue yesterday, particularly when leader is of the opinion that institutions of states are not the same as organs of state. They are of a higher ranking. So eventually we were able to come up with this draft to be able to take care of everybody's situation within the body politic. So I support the amendment as presented.
Very well. Parliament, the executive and judiciary are organs of state. But are they also not institutions of state? Yes, I thought we were.
Very well,
Let me give it to somebody else. Yes, Honorable Member for Tamale Central.
Yesterday we argued on this matter, and I've tried to proffer another amendment. It's true that the way 72(3)(a) is couched, it leaves out allocations even to private persons, and the Land Commission makes allocations of public land to private persons. So we can add or other public institutions or private agencies. Yes, or private persons. or private persons. You can improve, but I'm trying to bring all, whether you are an organ of state or an institution of state, you are a public body. And then the component that deals with persons too are captured, because as it is now, they are not captured.
Unless as a policy we intend that the Lands Commission should not allocate land to private persons. Is that a policy we want to pursue? He has an member for our.
Mr. Speaker, let's read 235, clause 235, because that is subject to that clause. If we read it and it is limited to 235, allocation of public, if we see that private people are given opportunity, then we need to amend to include it.
Yes. His amendment, another member for Tamale Central's amendment.
We add, because of the, Mr. Speaker, respectfully, because of the concerns raised or public or other public bodies or private institutions or private persons, other public institutions or private persons.
Let me be clear. What is to insert organ of state, ministry, department, agency, or any other institution of state. And you're proposing
or public, any other public or private body. Any other or private body.
In that case, we delete institution of state.
We delete institution of state, we delete organs of state. Or any other public or private body.
That is changing this entire proposed amendment. Is that right? Although you were, because I know that leadership of parliament is very sensitive to the organs of state, because often parliament is as a department, and we don't accept that in practice. Parliament is an organ of state, and all others are agencies of the executive. Judiciary is an organ of state. So we want the organ of state so that these two bodies, which are largely overwhelmed by the executive, can stand out. So organs of state, ministries, departments, or agencies, or any other public or private institution. Yes. Yes.
Speaker, the amendment should be a certificate of allocation submitted for registration shall A. specify the beneficiary organ of state, ministry, department, or agency, or any other public or private institution. I so move.
That leaves individuals. That I mean, if you make it public or private person, yes, then it captures both yes, individuals and
Further amendment to it. The Speaker, the beneficiary organ of state, ministry, department, or agency, or any other public or private person. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, that's function of the House. Yes, Honorable Member.
Mr. Speaker, I've got a lot of reservations about what we are doing, but let's at least concentrate on this one and see. Well, what is the purpose? The certificate of issued by this would qualify if only it is registered, and if it is not registered, it is not valid. So we say here that the certificate of allocation is shall specify for what purpose? I don't understand. What are we trying to achieve here? Because if you go through the rest, you don't quite get what it's talking about. Shall satisfy the organ of state, shall satisfy the mandate. What is it? The very first one, specify them for what purpose?
Shall specify the specific beneficiary. Specify the beneficiary ministry or beneficiary organ of state or beneficiary department or the beneficiary agency or beneficiary state or private or public individual.
So, Mr. Speaker, what is all this trouble about identifying beneficiaries when the word beneficiary must be enough? Shall identify the beneficiary. What's all the special organ of state or whatever agency? One beneficiary is the word.
Actually, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's probably because we are sensitive to organs of state. But once it says the beneficiary, because it's actually not making rules for who can benefit. It's only saying specify who you're giving it to.
So, well, if it is permitted, and Mr. Speaker, to save ourselves all this headache, why not delete all of that and make it specify the beneficiary?
That will be sufficient. I agree with you. Yes, honorable member for available leader. You, honorable member for Wawes, you on your feet, huh?
Mr. Speaker, just in line with this, but as I said, if you look at clause 235, it seems to be limiting to public institutions. So even though we want to mention organ and all that, one word or two words can cover public institutions. And we all know, if we now want to add the private problem, because all the organ you are given is a public institution. And in that clause that they are subjecting this clause to, they mention public land for public institutions. So it's specifying. On the other hand, if we just leave out and say that the allocation should be, the beneficiary should fight, it covers everybody. We don't even need to talk about private or public. And I support what Honorable K.T. Hammond is moving. On the other hand, we just, if it pleases you, because of the public, private or public institutions.
I think beneficiary is sufficient. It covers all, yes. So we, rather than add anything, just specify the beneficiary. That's all. All in favor of the proposed amendment, say aye. All against, say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Now, item XXXI.
Right, Honorable Speaker, we want to abandon this proposed amendment. So you may put the question.
Very well. The question is clause 172 as variously shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Clause 173.
Transmission on death of joint proprietors.
Clause 173 shall stand part of the bill. All in say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 173 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 174.
Death of sole proprietor or proprietors in common.
This proprietors in common. What word is that? Does that have a technical meaning or what?
I don't understand 173. where one or two of more joint proprietors of land dies, then all this law is saying is that we cross the person's name out. What does that mean? Huh?
This part is dealing with registration.
Because the fact that it is joint tenancy has its legal implication. So if you say that you cross out one name, then what does it mean? You see the point I'm making?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, he got it. Joint tenancy, joint proprietorship. So there is the right of survivorship. So you are not holding the interest in common. They are not tenants in common, not proprietors in common, who are, by their description, holding specific proportions of interest in the land. Joint proprietors, because of the requirement, the rule of survivorship, the right to survivorship, if two people are holding a land title certificate or have an interest in land on the basis of joint proprietorship, when one dies, you just strike out the name because the land automatically, because of the right of survivorship, interest in the land passes automatically to the remaining spouse, the surviving spouse.
Making. So you cross out the name of that person, and then what? How does the surviving comes about?
Of the person on the register now is the owner of the land. The man remaining is the owner of the land.
No, I'm not sure about it. Let's get the terminologies right. The joint tenantship and then the tenantship in common. Which is which?
So joint, Mr. Speaker, joint tenancy, the most important ingredient of joint tenancy is the right of survivorship. Joint. So if you hold property with your wife on the principle of joint ownership, joint tenancy, or joint proprietorship, when one spouse dies, total interest.
Using spouse, I mean, forget about spouse. When one dies, we're talking about spouse is becoming family kind of situation. We're really different. Talk about normal.
Okay, so when one party dies, when two parties are holding property on joint tenancy, joint ownership.
Yes.
When one party dies, the interest in the entire property passes to the surviving party.
We can step this. I'm not sure about it. There has been an amendment I read 3 days ago on this matter, so I'm anxious. There has been some amendment within parliamentary corridors, some amendment on this, and we need to clarify. Because I think the law, the thing I'm talking about, the amendment dealt with a particular legal situation where there was some confusion about the common and then joint tenancy, and then they changed it that henceforth, when there's that situation, the survivor wouldn't have it to themselves. They would have it would devolve to the beneficiaries of the other person who has died.
No,
There's something in there.
The 173 is what we have. I put a question 173, right?
That is the one
we
are
on
talking
174 now.
Yeah. So we can
And
leave
it
the
is
173.
describing what the registry should do death of one when they have joint ownership.
This is what we are wrangling over.
Let's go through it. Now you're bringing experience.
Is that
and
the
other
3
things.
or the 4?
174.
Okay.
Subject to subsection 3, where a sole proprietor
It's here. The issue is
or
it's in 4.
proprietor in common who is registered dies, the personal representative of that proprietor, A, on application to the land registrar, B, on the production to the land registrar of the probate or letters of administration, is entitled to be read by transmission of a proprietor in place of the deceased proprietor, with the following description after the name of the personal representative as the executor of the will of the name and deceased, or the administrator of the estate and deceased. Do we have a problem with this one? There's no problem. My only issue was this proprietor in common thing.
Yes.
It's new to me. I'm wondering where it came from. Then 2, on the production by the personal representative of the to the land registrar of the probate or letters of administration, the land registrar may, without the personal representative being registered, register by transmission. A, transfer by personal representative. B, surrender of a lease or discharge of a mortgage by the personal representative. 3, where there are 2 or more joint personal representatives of a deceased proprietor, the applicant referred to in subsection 1 shall be made by those personal representatives jointly, and representatives shall A, be registered as joint proprietors, B, jointly execute a transfer, surrender, or discharge to be registered. Do you have a problem with these ones? No. So the question is?
Well, I think in that case, Mr. Speaker, it resolved the difficulty personally was happening with 173. So I think we can take the two together. If there's any issue, we'll come back to it.
Clause 174 shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 174 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 175.
Transmission of the debt of the proprietor.
Let's not advertise amendment to 175. All in favor of 175 being a part of the bill, say aye. All against say no. The ayes have 175 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 176.
Transmission in bankruptcy.
Clause 176 shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 6 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 177.
Liquidation.
Clause 177 shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 177 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 178.
Transmission in other cases.
Clause 178 shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 178 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 179.
Judges certificates and decision of the court.
Amendment proposed. Chairman.
Clause 179, subclause 3, line 2, before survey, insert there. So it will read by the director of the survey and mapping division.
The mapping, survey and mapping division. All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Now, Clause 179 as amended shall stand part of the bill. All say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 179 as amended is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 180.
Interest in land through trust.
There's no advertised amendment to Clause 180. Now, Clause 180 shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 180 shall stand part of the bill. Chairman, are we continuing? You ended at 181.
181.
Yes, very well.
Survivor of trustee.
Yes, all right. Clause 181, amendment proposed.
Clause 181, line 3. Delete them and insert the trustees. So the line 3 will read, which were vested in the trustees.
All in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. All against? The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. Now, Clause 181 as amended shall stand part of the bill. All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 181 as amended is ordered to stand part of the bill. Brings us to the end of consideration for the Land Bill 2019 for today. Honorable Leader, do you have any announcement? Otherwise, I intend to bring proceedings to a close.
Mr. Speaker, the only announcement is that the winnowing team will continue with the work from 181. We will continue winnowing. 181. Mr. Speaker, we passed the 2 p.m., so we are in your. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. The House is accordingly adjourned to Wednesday, the 15th of July, 2020, at 10 o'clock in the forenoon.